You wake up and look in the mirror and your esteemed ballsack and peanut is missing. What was once a sweet spot of pride now lies a surface as unblemished as that of a Ken doll. You then cast your gaze upon your bed where an embodiment of androgyny allure reclines and the memory dawns. Ah yes, in Dragon Age, I opted for the all-inclusive gender option to court the heart of my choosing. But lo, it is not merely your anatomical configuration or romantic inclinations that are undergoing transformation. Behold, the gaming industry itself is morphing before our very eyes. As the philosophers of old have once whispered through the ages, change is the only constant in life. But one must ponder, amidst this flux, are we witnessing regression or the march of what people call progress? We're witnessing the absolute rejection of DEI-laced content in a consumer revolt. We're making a change. You're making a change. Don't believe me? Well, why don't we have a look together? Sup, losers? I'm looking... Lifelong gamer, dweller in your mother's basement, and 10th wonder of the world. Before we get this party started, I'm gonna stick my finger guns to your head and ask you to politely like, subscribe. The central motif this week is all about change in the industry, and it's clearly reflected in so many headlines, even when looking at the reception of massive AAA titles that check the boxes of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Sean Layden, a former bigwig at Sony, is out here preaching at Gamescom Asia, right? And he's like, yo, the gaming industry is like a one-way ticket to Creativity'sville's graveyard, because all we care about now is making the next Fortnite cash cow. Fair critique, I'd say. Absolutely, but let's backtrack a little bit, fam. This is the same dude, when he was riding high at Sony, was probably greenlighting projects with a calculator in one hand, and where's the sequel checklist in the other? Remember, when he tweeted that if you don't like a game, go make your own. Classic deflection. Now, he's saying lack of AA games, those games that don't aim for a blockbuster status, but can be creatively wild, is killing the industry's ecosystem. Sean's all about critiquing the industry's obsession with blockbusters now, but wasn't he part of the blockbuster machine that cranked out sequels like sausages?
Tonight, a blockbuster night.
Horizon, Zero Dawn, God of War. These aren't exactly indie experiments, are they? They're big, shiny, safe bets. Now let's get to the real hypocrisy. Sean's like, creativity's dying. But when was he pushing for that creativity at Sony? Sure, Sony's had its gems, but wasn't he part of that job to ensure that those games sold like hotcakes? And let's not forget, the man is now advising Tencent, a company known for its, let's say, calculated approach to development. So is he really advocating for change, or is he just playing the role of some wise old man now that he's out of the line of direct fire? Here's my hot take. Sean Layden is not wrong about the industry needing change, but his critique feels like a former smoker telling others to quit while he's secretly hiding a pack of Lucky Strikes behind his back. You can't preach innovation and creativity while your resume just screams status quo. I feel like that he's that kid in school who swiped that chud's homework, and not only did he not get caught, but he managed to pass it off as his own original thinking. What's the link between Ubisoft and your ex with BPD? They both apparently thrive on drama, but at least Ubisoft can't throw a brick through your car at 3 a.m. They'll just sell your data to Facebook instead. Ubisoft not only removed the collectible item that featured a one-legged Torygate statue that was deemed culturally insensitive, but their staff decided to remove themselves as well. That's right. Over 700 people in their staff in France aren't just playing their games, they're playing hardball with the company over a back-to-office mandate. Ubisoft, the company behind Assassin's Creed, decided everyone needs to be in the office 3 days a week starting September. But here's the thing. There was no chat like, hey, what do you guys think? Just get back to work. The French Game Workers Union, SJTV, isn't having it. They're calling this move everything from a creativity killer or a sly way to push out workers who can't or won't come back. So what's their play? A 3-day strike where they're not sitting at home, they're out there making noise, demanding that their voices be heard. As reported on the previous week, staff at Ubisoft has been dealing with immense brain drain. I would imagine this would be a good way to escape a decaying work environment. Now, Ubisoft is trying to spin this return to office as a creativity boost, but the staff isn't buying it. They're striking because their lives have been set around around remote work for years. Plus, there's this whole looming shadow of poor sales, delayed games, and share prices that are plummeting towards a downward spiral. So what do you guys think? With these strikes, are we gonna get the recently delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows on time, or do you even care? Leave it down in the comments, you handsome, beautiful people. Does that work, Racer X? You know, Racer X, there are many ways to skin an a cat. You could go the Keyword Studio route and pull the rug from under the unionized Q&A team working on Dragon Age Dreadwolf. All those testers who were all in for unionizing last year got the boot late September because BioWare decided to ghost on that contract. So now the Q&A folks who are all about making sure that your next Dragon Age fix is bug-free are out in the cold with the studio saying, no more work. Even with job postings still up, I guess the keyword is officially fired. Not a fan of the straightforward approach? Well, maybe you'd appreciate Riot Games Special, a masterclass on corporate orchestration. They played their hand in forming an undisclosed number of developers to gather the belongings and exit stage left permanently. Yet, in a twist that only a seasoned strategist could admire, they're also swelling the ranks of the League team, as in League of Legends. It's a bold move, akin to pruning a tree while grafting new branches, all in the name of growth. Or perhaps that method has too much dignity going on for it, so you can maybe switch towards the route of Surgeon Studios, the developer for Tales of Kenizara, Zhao, and lay off an entire team and put the entire games division on hiatus when they had previously claimed that game sales were doing just fine. But then they beg, wunderbar! But also then there's the traditional Japanese route, the Bandai Namco route, where instead of giving you the axe, they've just got this ancient Japanese secret, and let's call it the expulsion room. Salaryman edition. Picture this. You're not just getting fired. No, that would be too straightforward. Instead, they're tossing you into an expulsion room. And here's how it goes down. You get moved into a room where you have nothing to do but twiddle your thumbs and stare at a wall. It's a different kind of survival horror, where the horror is not just infinite boredom or what I'd like to call Baldur's Gate 3. Nearly 200 of their staff have been thrown into the abyss, and guess what? Almost half of them bailed because, let's face it, who'd want to stay in a room where the only game you're playing is who can maintain the longest lasting boner? By the way, guys, all these things, these corporate layoffs, all have been reported within a week, mind you. I can't be the only one that smells the rotting corpse of an industry right now, can I? Speaking of Bandai Namco, in collaboration with Reflector Entertainment, released Unknown 9, a game that is completely unknown and maybe has 9 people playing it at launch. Gotta be careful with the names you give these games, man. They work as spells at this point. Okay, here's the thing. I'm only slightly hyperbolizing, you guys. Want to see the max player count on the Steam debut? I'll give you a hint. There are some versions out there that will blossom and grow to have a bigger body count, yeah, I believe in you too, Anon, than the in-game player count the game debuted with. But the game ultimately peaked at 169 concurrent players, which, given the last 2 digits, nice, but the data makes this a lot more bleak. Many whom apparently play the game got it for free when they purchased a graphics card, which means in essence, no one really bought the game. That's not to say the game had no fans. On Steam, Berries and Cream wrote a review titled Bigotry and Racism Have Won. Let's read together, shall we? I hope you're happy. All the hate and racism have destroyed the hopes and dream of a small developer who just wanted to share a great story and adventures with all of us. But now, that won't be possible because you wanted to cause chaos and watch the world burn.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
You did this! You did this! Don't forget, all the bandwagoning, all the SBI hate for what? The game did nothing wrong! Couldn't let this game have a female dressed like a decent person despite having so many games with generic, half-naked, unrealistic Korean tune? Don't you get it? People's jobs are at stake! Which the reviewer spelt like a piece of meat, which is perfect since the reviewer just talked about a half-naked, unrealistic Korean tune. This saddens me so much, but hey, gotta celebrate a tragic situation, right? Now I understand Alyssa Mercante. She was right all along. Edit, yeah. Keep laughing. Go ahead. When Square stops making games for PC, who's gonna laugh? I thought you all wanted to play with hot females. So go ahead. Leave Unknown 9 and go play your Stellar Blade anime or whatever. Hey, Kabubi, can I get a... What needs to be noted is that the usual suspects that would be bolstering this game are not tuning its horn in the way that we once anticipated. I mean, IGN, for crying out loud, gave this game a 5, as in 5 out of 10. IGN states, Haruna's predictable tale is full of cliches and unremarkable characters eventually getting horribly lost in a sea of magical jargon, further describing Haruna, the main character, as a distrustful woman who loves spouting trite platitudes, and ultimately saying, despite interesting ideas, Unknown 9 Awakening is just a bland and janky adventure with a generic story and dull combat. Listen guys, speaking of change, it looks like the corporate cucks aren't exactly accepting this slop anymore. It's gotten so bad that IGN isn't giving it any sort of grace. A generic story. Who is behind the story for this mega flop? Oh, I forgot to mention, this game is Bandai and Reflector Entertainment team up with Sweet Baby Incorporated, in which Kim Belair was the story lead architect. Speaking of which, strap in, because Kim Belair from Sweet Baby Inc. just decided to drop a hot take that might make your console overheat from stupid—
Don't be rude.
I was going to say stupendous wisdom. There is not enough RAM to process all that wisdom. Kim Belair, the CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., recently offered her profound insights on the DEI debate in gaming, what she might eloquently term an enlightening narrative thread. Initially, I was almost swayed, until, of course, the realization dawned that she conveniently sidestepped the missteps of her own team, a topic we'll delve into shortly. It struck me that her true craft lies not in steering the company, actual reform, but in weaving tales that tug at heartstrings. If only her proficiency into corporate PR matched her flair for oration, perhaps there would be less fodder for critique. But critique we must. So she's at this festival, crying about how if you're not down with DEI, you're part of the quote-unquote far-right supremacy gang. Right, because enjoying games without a side of social justice makes you a Neo-Hitler supporter now. She's painting this picture where Sweet Baby Inc. is the victim under siege by gamers who apparently can't handle diversity in their games. I don't know, maybe gamers are just tired of games turning into soapboxes for pushing agendas over gameplay.
In moments when this movement couldn't dig up like another reason to attack us, they would just kind of move on to other groups who they perceive to be like us. All while, doing the work of erasing all of those people's and our actual jobs and interest and papering over it with kind of, that rallying cry of far-right supremacy, DEI.
Kim's playing this card that if you're critiquing her approach, you're not just wrong, you're a villain in this grand narrative of societal progress. It's not that she's defending her company, that I would completely understand. She's painting every critic with a broad brush of moral decay. So in Kim's world, if you're not with her, you're against progress. But let's call a spade a spade. Sometimes gamers just want games to be fucking games! Not battlefields of cultural wars! Maybe, just maybe, the backlash isn't about far-right supremacy, but a desire to prioritize fun over preaching. But hey, what do I know? I'm probably just a supremacist, just for thinking games should be entertaining first. Kim Belair then proceeded to label Elon Musk a quote-unquote buffoon, which I must say is quite ironic.
And as ridiculous and stupid as it all was, I actually was not prepared for the escalation of it when noted buffoon and Twitter CEO Elon Musk decided that he would chime in with his very cool thoughts. Yeah.
Here we have a woman whose business ventures seem to have the Midas touch if Midas were to turn everything into excrement instead of gold, critiquing a man who is not only sending rockets into space, but is actually saving free speech. Simply amazing. I love it. So, let's break down this narrative. We have Kim over here taking no accountability for Kiss Kindred, who according to Master of TDS has been fired from Sweet Baby Inc. Ah yes, Chris Kindred, the veritable knight in shining armor of Sweet Baby Inc., where every product they touch seems to turn into a curse instead of a blessing. Now, this character decided to venture into the arena of digital warfare, not with swords or spells, but with the mightiest of weapons. The cancel culture cudgel. First up, he takes aim at Cabrutus Rambo, a gamer from Brazil who dared to curate a list on Steam. Whew, how audacious! How dare one organize games in a manner that showcased the less than stellar work of Sweet Baby Inc. But Chris, undeterred by the pettiness of his quest, does not stop there. No, he goes further, perhaps channeling the spirit of a disgruntled wizard, and attempts to get a YouTuber sacked from his former job because, you know, criticizing their work isn't just criticism, it's affront to the very fabric of reality that demands retribution. And then, in a move that would not make the most seasoned drama queen pause for breath, he calls forth the masses to report a Steam group to oblivion. Because, in the grand scheme of the internet, nothing says that I'm winning the argument like trying to erase your opposition from existence. Truly, if irony were currency, Chris Kindred would be the most financially insolvable individual on the planet. Here we have someone whose old company just runs everything that it touches to the ground. Digital turds, trying to lecture others on the conduct of relevance. And let's not forget about Cameron Wild, who we covered in an earlier episode. The guy who wants to critique Quentin Tarantino out of existence. Okay, oh wow, big difference. It's not like Quentin Tarantino is not associated with his movies, right? It's not like when you think Quentin Tarantino, you think baby products. You don't exactly think Gerber baby jam. Applesauce. Applesauce, is that what babies eat? I'm sure Cameron Wild would like that. Anyways, considering that they've purged their client list and shown Chris Kindred the door, it's quite evident that Sweet Baby Inc. is staging a desperate makeover of its brand image. Perhaps they should embrace transparency and rebrand it to Charred Baby Inc. because, let's be honest, at this point, the baby is overcooked. This, my friends, is change, and this change comes directly from you. You're making a difference. They know that public sentiment towards them is shifting, and remember, as they adapt, so must you. In other news, family-friendly franchise Pokemon had the franchise's developer, Game Freak, hacked. And let me tell you, after what I'm about to drop, you're gonna see where the freak in Game Freak comes from. But before, have you guys ever seen this meme?
Did you know that in terms of male, human, and female Pokemon breeding, Vaporeon is the most compatible Pokemon for humans?
Well, it turns out meme magic is real. I want you to imagine this. Typhlosion, the Pokemon you thought was a cool, fire-breathing son of a bitch, is now supposedly snatching humans like he's auditioning for a remake of Taken. We're talking about some wild lore that just got leaked where Pokemon aren't just your friendly neighborhood monsters, they're out here playing matchmaker in the most bizarre, not safe for Pikachu kind of way. It's like if Pokemon went from gotta catch 'em all to gotta kidnap 'em all. Who knew that our little pocket monsters had that scandalous side gig that is way out of pocket? I wonder if I magically wandered into one of Diddy's freak-offs, what sort of Pokemon I'd find there. I'll read you an excerpt of one of the stories. The man had relations with Octillery and then threw it back into the sea. The next day, he went into the same spot and found the same Octillery again. He once more had relations with it and threw it back into the sea as before. One night, after several days had passed, the man had a dream. In the dream, Octillery spoke to him. I cannot come to you, but I will deliver our child to you. It's our child, yours and mine. The next morning, the man went to the place where he had met the Octillery. There, he found a boy. The man took the boy home and raised him. Time passed, the boy grew into a young man, and the father passed away. I mean, bro, look at this picture of Octillery. I mean, can you imagine the kind of suction this Pokemon got going on for it? All right, here's the thing. Given that we live in a Gooner's world, I can see how a lot of this other material was overshadowed, but it doesn't mean that the rest of the leaks aren't juicy. So let's jump into the rest of them. First off, the most anticipated Nintendo Switch, or apparently whispered in the corridors of power within Nintendo, Ounce. Now, why Ounce? Perhaps it's a nod to the weight of expectations it must carry, or maybe, just maybe, it's a playful hint at a device being lighter on its feet, metaphorically speaking, than its predecessor. But let's not get caught in the name. It's the content that actually matters. Speaking of content, let's talk Pokemon. Okay, we got the 10th generation of Pokemon, codenamed Gaia, with a tantalizing hint of dual releases, K and N. This could mean that we're getting a game that's not just new for the Ounce, but also for the current Switch. A cross-generation release, if you will. And then there's Pokemon Legends, Z to A, or Ikaku, already announced, but now with a face, thanks to this leak. But the piece de resistance, the source code leaks. Imagine, if you will, the digital DNA of games like Heart Gold / Soul Silver and Black 2 laid bare for all to see. Beta Pokemon designs that never saw the day of light, ideas that were once glimmers in the developer's eye, now out in the open. And then there's Synapse, an unreleased online multiplayer Pokemon game sitting in the digital archives like an undiscovered manuscript from a forgotten civilization. It's not just any manuscript. It's a tome detailing a world where battles and trades weren't confined to your living room, but sprawled across the globe. A digital coliseum waiting for its first spectators. The gaming world, particularly those with a penchant for Pokemon, are now archaeologists sifting through these digital ruins for insights, for Easter eggs, for anything that might give them an edge just for a glimpse into what could have been. So, what do you guys think? Who is the most breedable Pokemon in your eyes? Is it Vaporeon? I really want to hear in the comments. This video is brought to you by Vimalo. Velamo. So you can Velamo me some money. Alright, you guys ready for a doozy? Dragon Age: The Veilguard comes out on Halloween, and if you're a fan of the franchise, there's probably a lot to be excited about. I mean, Greg Miller was just singing its praises on Twitter. He says, I played about 7 ages of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. It maintains the same level of quality in terms of story, gameplay, and graphics, and choice. This could easily be my game of the year. However, if the leaks provided to us by Variety streamer Noor are to be believed, if you're the sort that doesn't like leftist propaganda shoved down your throat, you may be not seeing eye to eye with Greg Miller over here. Now, I'm going to go on record and say, quite frankly, I have no dog in this fight. I've never played a Dragon Age game in my life, and given the info that's coming out, I doubt I'll be getting it anytime soon or ever. These leaks look kind of suspicious. The fact that the leaker didn't do much to hide his voice, to me, sounds like potential bait. Something for the outraged mob to latch onto and therefore look bad. Now, I could very well be wrong, and I could very well be right, and if I'm right, there's officially a war being waged via subterfuge between gamers and developers. If the leaker in question was actually a playtester, he would have signed an NDA, and now that he's broken it, it's entirely possible that he's going to get sued by BioWare. So take this as a grain of salt as Kabubi fires up that rumor mill.
I heard a rumor.
So, if the rumors from streamer Noor are true, we are talking about a game where neo-pronouns are the new battle cry, making immersion take a backseat to identity politics. Imagine booting up some sort of epic fantasy only to get, quote-unquote, I identify myself as non-binary from your Kunari companion right out the gate. Apparently, this is what the guy says. And let's talk about romance, because who doesn't love a good virtual love story? If you're rolling with the he, him pronouns, your love life in this game is drier than your love life outside the game. You're locked into a romance with Neve and Harding while everyone else is living their best pansexual life. However, this may have changed due to some apparent influence from Baldur's Gate 3. Now Solas, the elf with plans, reduced to a side character, popping up for the big finale like, surprise, I'm aboard now! But in the most confusing way possible. And the story is a series of meh moments leading to an ending that is more baffling than it is satisfying. And let's not forget the facial animations. Remember Mass Effect Andromeda? Yeah, it's that all over again. Faces looking like they've been Botoxed to the point where you might blink and see the Bogdanov twins.
Yes.
Bogdanov, he did it.
Il bort.
He went all in.
Dump it.
Plastic does not even begin to describe it. The Inquisition, corrupt, your choices, meaningless. It's like playing Mass Effect 3 all over again, where no matter what you do, it feels like you're pushing a giant plot boulder up a hill. And the Rook, the dude's backstory, tossed aside like last week's news. He's chilling in a bar now, backstory in his back pocket, relevance nowhere in sight. And let's talk about the playtester's feedback, because apparently you can't even touch the progressive stuff with a 10-foot pole. It's like, hey, we might be ruining the game, but and Grey Warden Davrin, making big decisions because he's a POC,
people of color.
not because he's earned it. It's like the game is saying, qualifications, who needs them? You got diversity points. The Fade sequence, a snooze fest. You're basically walking around doing errands for spirits or something equally as thrilling. Varric, our beloved storyteller, turned into a background advisor. It's like they've taken all the characters you've loved and shoved them into the shadows. And the final blow, the game is so far from Dragon Age Origins that it may as well take place in Night City. The leaker signs off by declaring, "This is the end of BioWare." Grum says if these rumors are true, it's time to Ubisoft BioWare. We can't support making games worse just to carry a message. We cannot support the destruction of beloved IPs because writers want to do their own thing while pissing over the fans and mocking them. Don't do it. Don't buy Dragon Age Veilguard. Will you be taking Grum's advice, Anon? Let me know in the comments. Honestly, I could go on about how there are Dragon Age writers talking smack about you guys, but I'm not gonna lie. Guys, reporting this is uninspiring, and I don't want this channel to be a Debbie Downer. So we're gonna skip over the mentally ill weirdos calling us gooners because we don't feel as though that we need more ugly characters in video games this week. But moving forward, I might have a segment where it's just highlighting the behavior of these game devs. Would you like that? Let me know in the comments. Man, the Silent Hill 2 discourse around DEI Duchovny does not seem to be ending. Over on Nexus Mods, the battleground isn't just within the game anymore, it's in the comment section of a mod that dared to alter Angela's visage to be a little more visually appealing. So heated was the debate, so passionate were the cries for its removal, that the moderators had to lock down the comments. Now, here's where it gets delightfully ironic. Nexus Mods, in all its infinite wisdom, hasn't yet co-signed the mod to the abyss, but let's not forget, in the land of modding mayhem, the Naked James mod is already prancing around, fully operational and fully naked. If they decide to pull the plug on the Angela mod, the hypocrisy would be as palpable as it is absurd. It's like banning a book in a library while leaving all the risque magazines out in the open. Truly, the modding community never fails to entertain. Change is the theme of today's episode, and with that being said, it's officially the end of an era. For those who've spent decades with our eyes glued to the screens and ears tuned to the symphonies of pixelated adventures, the name Nobu Uematsu resonates like a sacred hymn. The maestro, the architect behind some of the most iconic soundtracks in the video game industry, particularly within the hallowed halls of Final Fantasy, has decreed his final note in the gaming symphony. Uematsu, the luminary whose melodies have accompanied countless guests, is set to bid adieu to the video game industry with one last performance. For those yearning for a final voyage with the legendary composer, the opportunity awaits in Fantasian Neo Dimension. Not just a game, it's a farewell tour. The last dance with the virtuoso who has, for so long, been the silent conductor of our epic tale. So gear up for more adventure as we bid farewell to the Grandmaster of game music. Here on this channel, we revere the big G to no end. So, Uematsu-sama, omedetou gozaimasu. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. For some reason, the Gomi this week just really dampened my spirit. I'm really excited to talk about good news this week. Did you guys miss the opportunity to visit the Sega Ikebukuro Gigo arcade in Tokyo that closed its doors in 2021? If you did, I'm not gonna lie, you totally missed out. That shit was dope. But hey, when one door closes, another one opens. Sega will open an official store in Shibuya next summer. It will be located in the Shibuya Parco, the same building as the Nintendo Store Tokyo and Capcom Store Tokyo. So next time you want to find your boy when he's out in Tokyo, you know where to go kill. Can you shoot me for that? What did you guys think about the Silent Hill 2 remake? I'm actually enjoying it more than I thought I would. It is insanely compelling, and I kind of see what I've been missing out on this whole time. I'm down to check out anything Bloober Team puts out from here on out. And with that being said, Bloober just announced their new game, Chronos: The New Dawn. We're talking about a third-person sci-fi horror where you're not just surviving, you're traveling through this brutalistic, grim, retro-futuristic nightmare. You're a quote-unquote traveler, snatching up these key figures from the past, extracting their essence, and teaming up with them in a future that is pretty much the definition of bleak. This game's got this eerie Eastern European vibe mixed with tech that looks like it's straight out of a dystopian fever dream. And the enemies, forget the jump scares. These are humanity's worst fears twisted into creatures that are both terrifying and tragically poetic. It's dropping in 2025, so if you're into deep, dark narratives with a twist of temporal mechanics, this one's for you. Fans of Remedy will be pleased to know that they have a 3-person co-op game that was just announced coming their way. And oh, did I mention, it's set in the Remedyverse. Remedy tweeted a brief synopsis of what we are to expect. They say, as the Federal Bureau of Control's headquarters faces a deadly and prolonged siege by otherworldly forces, only Firebreak, its most adaptable response unit, has the skills and courage to restore order. BC, Firebreak releases in 2025. Wishlist now. I still have to play Control, but from what I'm seeing, this looks like it's right up my alley. Can't wait to sail the seas with the Mad Dog of Shimano? You're in luck. Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii's release date is now moved up a week earlier. RGG put out a not-so-cryptic tweet taking potshots at a very particular studio which reads, Quadruple A, or, oh, quit your yawning. Oh, as in Quadruple A. Quit your yawning and come play modern day pirate game on February 21st, when like a dragon, Pirate Yakuza set sail. Yves Guillemot was unresponsive when asked for comment. When authorities came to check up on him, all was found was skull and bones. According to Yokoyama, the game is releasing earlier because development is progressing more smoothly than expected, so you can quote-unquote play the game that comes after with peace of mind. End quote. The game that comes after being Monster Hunter Wilds, not developed by Sega, by Capcom. Gotta love how Japanese developers are so thoughtful, even when it comes to games that are out of its jurisdiction. Elon Musk is for gamers' rights. After recently tweeting that, quote unquote, we need a video gamer voting block. Make games great again, end quote. He was asked in an interview if he would ever consider starting his own video game studio to break away from the DEI being implemented into games. He then entertained the idea while stating he would like to implement AI to build fun games while assuring that he, like you, is a part of the dirtiest, filthiest, lowest caste of human, a gamer, while also retweeting the video stating that DEI kills art. Would you like X Studios bringing you video games? I myself have never been too hot on Western developers, but maybe if Elon hires the right people, we might have some magic on our hands. But it's not only Elon that wants DEI out of his hypothetical game studio. Moon Studios, the CEO and the mastermind behind the Ori series, Thomas Mailer, is steering the pod in the gaming world. He is straight up rejecting the idea of shoehorning diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, into games, calling it, quote-unquote, perverted. In essence, Mailer is stating, I'm making games, not political statements. And he's not about to let the DEI police dictate his creative process. Now, while some might cry foul, Mailer's stance is pretty clear. He's all about diversity in his team because, let's face it, it makes for better games, but forcing it into the narrative or the characters, that's a big no-no in his book. He's basically saying, my games, my rules. Jobless. All right, guys. Somebody make some noise for Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero, the game that sold 3 million copies in its first 24 hours. And that's not all we're celebrating. Metaphor Refantasio just swooped in like a boss and smashed the sales charts as well. We're talking about becoming the fastest selling Atlas game ever, snagging over 1 million copies in just one day. I mean, Persona 3 Reload thought it was some pretty hot stuff with its million a week, but no. Refantasio said, hold my big old ball sack, and broke that record like it was nothing. I'm actually really excited to get to Metaphor after I'm done with Silent Hill 2. Have you guys played either yet? Please let me know in the comments. The director of the game was recently quoted in saying, I feel like if you have these super highly polished games that look like they were designed by a bunch of people in a CEO boardroom, that doesn't really excite me. It doesn't really interest me. One of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. And finally, to end the news today, Resident Evil 9 now officially has a Metacritic page for it, hinting at a potential announcement in the very near future. That's one way to leak things. I loved the Resident Evil 4 remake to the point of getting the plat. God, it was so much fun. I hope the next installment works off the momentum Capcom gave us with 4. Anyways, that's it for this week's roundup. Which news makes you want to rub your nipples? Which news makes you want to rub your forehead in disgust? Which news makes you want to feel pure bloodlust? I'm Locust, it's been real, and I'll catch you all in next week's roundup. Bye-bye.